The views and opinions of this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers. There is substantial risk of loss in trading futures and options, which you should carefully consider prior to trading. Well, as we hit the midway point of September, harvest is underway or going to be well underway in most areas here across the U.S. very soon. But we continue to deal with low water levels on the Mississippi River. What can that mean as we get into fall harvest time and much more? Let's go through what's happening with the weather pattern. Joining us now, Eric Snodgrass, Nutrient Ag Solutions, for our weekly weather update. Eric, good to talk with you again. And let's start there with the Mississippi River levels and that ongoing expanding drought throughout much of the southern part of the U.S. and into the eastern Corn Belt. Now, I have to think that's going to be good for at least getting in and getting crops harvested, but maybe hasn't been so good for the final dry down and more and yield potential and, of course, those water levels. I mean, talk about this for us, Eric.
I mean, that's what I want to know. What is the yield? What did it do to the yield potential? Because you have most of Missouri, most of Illinois, big chunks of Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas. I mean, Arkansas has taken a beating. This gets all the way to West Virginia and Pennsylvania as well as being our driest region. And that's not to skip out on the fact that, we have the mid-Atlantic that's dry. We have the Carolinas, Virginia that are very dry. The Northeast is very dry. I mean, this is what happens when the Bermuda High leaves, and it left. I mean, it left about a month ago, and it's taken any would-be tropical system and kept it out to open ocean, except there's a little weak spin up right now that's going to go off just off the coast of North Carolina, Virginia. They're going to get some much needed rain. But, when you look at the effect of this is now the fifth fall in a row that the Mississippi has dropped below low level. And it's about 6 feet below low level this morning at Memphis. And in fact, I went back and looked at 10 years of data on the Mississippi, and it's only been 2018 and 19. Those two falls were the only two falls where the river didn't drop below low level in fall. Now, what's crazy is just how low it's gotten lately, though. The last 3 years, right, 22, 23, and 24, and then now 2025, these numbers have been like 10 feet, 12 feet, 13 feet below low stage. And it just becomes a problem when you're trying to logistically move a crop up and down and fertilizer up and down that river. And so it's huge. So to be honest with you, Jesse, this morning, as I watched the model trends kind of finally evolve to the early morning runs today, and we start to see that in the day 4 through 10 time period. So this is like the weekend, next weekend and beyond, that especially the European models trying to cut off a little low over the Missouri and Mississippi basin. Like, I could not be more excited about it because of how much rain we need in that area. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. We know something about drought, right? Mm-hmm. And that is every time you see the models tossing out rain, you probably should cut the rainfall amounts in half or even down to a third inside the drought area. But there's rain that could possibly be coming, and boy, do we need it in a big way. Now, one other area of drought that's kind of seen it get better is up in North Dakota. And I don't know if you saw this on Sunday, but a series of storms went straight south to north, from South Dakota to North Dakota. One storm in particular, we called an MCV, a mesoscale convective vortex, spun up 22 tornadoes. I mean, what a crazy thing to see at this point in September, going straight north to south in that area. So that's going to be a fun one to study after the fact when we look back at this pattern. But it was a hot weekend for many of us that are probably listening in the Midwest right now. And it was also one where, we just continue to see drought build across key geographies.
Well, and as you examine a lot of this, and we've touched on, the La Niña factor and things like that here moving forward, I mean, just some interesting pieces, I think, of this puzzle as we get into the back half of the year here, get through fall harvest, winter ahead. It feels to me like there's going to be some interesting things to keep an eye on over the next several months here in the U.S., Eric.
Yeah. Unfortunately, right now we've lost the sub-seasonal forecasting thing. So in other words, there's no big driver globally that's happening in the week 2 to week 6 timeframe. But the bigger thing, right, is La Niña, and La Niña is back. The strength of it is yet to be known. It will likely peak a little earlier this year, maybe in December, early January, which is honestly pretty close to average. What I mean is the last few La Niñas have lingered into February and beyond, and I don't think we're going to see that this year. Now, La Niña falls are typically drier for much of the geographies we just talked about, but they often kick off late late second half of the hurricane season storm systems go straight north. And so we got to be on the lookout for that. So any call along the cotton belt for dryness, we have to just step back and go, all right, yes, but and the if is something like a Hurricane Helene, which we saw last year, that can come up and dump a bunch of rain. So the big driver is La Nina. We're now up to a 72% chance of developing one. Technically, we're in one. We have strong trades and the ocean temperatures are cool there. But what I want to know, Jesse, is you go north of that region across the equatorial Pacific, just go north. There is so much warm water that is trapped into the North Pacific that it makes me question what winter is going to look like. So you could have a La Nina that does nothing because of other factors that control the weather. Those subseasonal factors at times can be huge. So I'll be honest with you, if you left the ocean temperatures where they are right now, okay, and we got all the way into winter, this would drive one of the most active Ohio River Valley storm tracks that I think I've seen in my professional career. Now, I'm saying that knowing that things will change, but that's not good for the West Coast. They'd go into drought. But we would no longer be talking about drought in the Mid-South, no longer be talking about drought in the Ohio Valley if this winter pans out dominated by the North Pacific heat. So yeah, you ask about some bigger things happening around the world. That's one of the ones we're keeping an eye on.
We'll see if some of those factors come together or not. We should talk about South America. We're really going to start to put a focus on their weather here over the next several weeks ahead as well. Yeah. Starting to see some of those rains move in, maybe not quite into the wet season yet, though. Are we, Eric?
No, and the monsoon usually comes in fits and starts. What's interesting right now about Brazil is over the weekend they had some good storms. The coverage wasn't good, but they were monsoonal in nature. These were convective storms because their daytime highs are like 38 to 42 C. So that's like upper 90s, low 100s. And so it's starting to get enough heat to make these storms pop. But when you get that much heat, you also get high evaporation rates, right? So we don't have the full-on monsoonal circulation yet, but there are storms. What I'm watching is next week, there is a front coming up out of the south from all the way from Argentina that could get all the way through the Cerrado in Brazil, and it's going to bring in chances for rain and knock these temperatures back in a big way. I don't see any frost threat right now, maybe in far southern Brazil, but it's nothing that would hurt a crop. It's too early down there. So long story short, rains are starting to show up more in the models, and we need to make sure that we understand that that's probably going to prompt faster planting progress. But it's like we always say, Jesse, it's where is that planting progress mapped 45 days from now? I want to know where it is on November 1, and on November 1st, then we can start to make some sense about how quick things went, and that'll set up the rest of the season.
Yeah, good thoughts. A lot of it marking time at this point in the year. Anything else you were watching on the weather front here at home or around the world this week, Eric?
I'll just say this about the temperature pattern, right? I was at a soccer tournament all weekend, and I think I lost 10 pounds in water weight just sweating. The temperatures were in like the mid 90s. And it's crazy to think that not 2 weeks ago, they were 30 degrees cooler. So we've had this big flip flop. And I think there is the opportunity in the atmosphere to start us off at the beginning of October cold. Now, that's very speculative. I'm basing it off just a few things. But I want to let folks know that if that does happen, while I'm not anticipating it being an issue with the crop, given how far along it is, I would just have to mention that there might be a chance for an early October cool down that maybe is a little earlier time than our typical first frost dates for much of the Corn Belt, just as an example. Other than that, all eyes are going to be in the tropics for the next 45 days. And I'm amazed at the number of people that are praying for a weak hurricane because of the drought situation. So that's where we find ourselves. And I think I'll be talking about that for the next few weeks.
I think we will as well. Folks can stay up to date also online. Just go to agweather.com, ag-wx.com for the latest weather forecast details from Eric and his team at Nutrient Ag Solutions. Eric Snodgrass, always good to talk with you on our weekly weather update, sir. Have a great week. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Thanks.
Make sure to subscribe to the Market Talk YouTube channel. You can watch our latest interviews with top market analysts in the country, find bonus content, and much more. It's easy. Just go to youtube.com/@MarketTalkAg and hit the subscribe button. Or you can search for Market Talk Ag on YouTube.